this one is going to be a little bit tricky. Actually, I need to put it in this corner here. So, what's up, everyone? Thanks so much for joining. I'm doing this in 3 different platforms at the moment, but priority is going to be YouTube. So I'm hoping everybody's fine over there. Wherever you are, let me know how's everything, how the things are going. And I hope you're staying safe. So that's always the #1 priority. And you're patient, you are disciplined and mentally strong. So those are the core things. I believe it's like, the most important at this period. And yeah, I just wanted to have a little tennis talk here. And so again, I hope it's working on all the platforms, but the main focus is going to be YouTube here. So everyone who joins this live stream on YouTube, I'm going to focus on your comments there. And if I notice some comments on other platforms, I might try to also jump there. But again, focus is the YouTube. And is, as you can see, the topic will be how this period can really be useful for improving your tennis game, and more specifically for improving your technique. And it can also be improving your tactics and like approaches to the game, mental side. But I want to really talk about this part where you're gonna focus on where you want to improve. For example, you want to change certain elements of your forehand of your backhand serves, whatever, volleys. And of course, this is assuming that you have access to the courts in this period. I know in many places it's very difficult to get access to the courts, but I hope it will start happening soon in different areas. Some maybe earlier, like sooner, or some later, but I hope slowly you will get there. Now here in Shanghai, it's everything almost back to normal. We are again playing regularly, and I'm using this time to work with my players on their technique much more than usual, because, and this is the main reason, this period, obviously everything is canceled, everything's delayed, all the tournaments, all the events, everything that involves competition and like gathering of the people, everything is canceled forever. I mean, until the situation gets under control everywhere. So that means that there are not going to be matches, there are not going to be tournaments. And this is the period where you want to dive into this, changing the technique if you believe there's something that can be improved. So if you're a coach, I think now is the time that you focus on your players. And for example, that little thing on the forehand that you never really liked, but you couldn't change because they were playing tournaments, you couldn't do it. So now is the time you jump on that, and don't be shy. You're gonna have a lot of time, because I'm guessing it's gonna take at least a few months until they maybe start with some tournaments. So it's going to be, I think you're gonna have a lot of time for that. So having that in mind, I really think it's perfect timing. So I just wanted to talk about the whole process and the idea and how to approach these things from my experience, from my own, like what I've seen and felt, and what I believe it's one of the most efficient ways to do. And I will mention maybe a couple of players that I've been working with lately, and how we approach certain things. So again, I just want to say, everybody, thank you for joining. Obviously, not so many people now, and on YouTube, usually we can get up to 30. So now maybe the timing is not the best. This is a Friday late night, depending on which location you are in the US. But hopefully we'll get some people from Asia here, maybe Australia, New Zealand, Europe. Now it's sleeping. So it's fine. I don't mind really, because this video can still stay there and some people can check it later. I believe it can really bring some value. And before that, I'm just gonna see who is here. So we have Tony. What's up, man? How's everything? Hello for Canada. Concerns about tennis player. Is there a tournament to play? Everything is closed. What is the best way to train against the wall? You think how you should improve serve without core besides toss? Great questions, great topics. It's something that we can touch on during this talk. Wow, Warrior is from Europe, and you're not sleeping at this time. That's interesting. Thank you for joining us. Just to answer this, for the wall, playing against the wall, there's so many things you can do. I think the primary thing when you're training against the wall is to just get the feel, right? Get the feel for the ball. You can play forehand, backhands. If you want to work more on certain shot, you can. But from my experience, and I've played a lot against the wall. It's always like just putting in some time so you get a feel for the ball, for the swing, for the timing, so you're not kind of get completely out of the game, out of the tennis, like just having that feeling the ball. That's the main thing, and then getting some rhythm. You can put some cardio workout there if you go for like a longer sets, 100, 200, 300 shots in a row, and then you repeat. So you can do some like cardio workouts, but I think the main thing is keeping that feeling of the ball and the timing and your swings, everything. You can work on the nice technique because you can go for easier rallies. I assume that you cannot really go for 100% power against the wall, and usually the space is very limited. So that's something to keep in mind, when you're playing against the wall. I hope that helps. And best time to start a training. What time is in Europe? Now it's like 4 or 5 a.m. That's amazing. How is the ankle? Well, the ankle is fine. It's the problem was with my left calf, and I think it's kind of recovered, but I'm still not going 100%, and I'm still careful. I'm hoping next week or during next week I will kind of start playing a little bit more, putting a bit more effort and more seriously. So we have somebody who wants to join the live, but I just want to first kind of commit to the topic, and that is how to approach the change in technique, for certain shots. And I would like to give example of how I did it with some of my players and what we do, what I like to do with them. For example, with one player where we are working on changing of the service motion, we are doing a little bit different swing, and that's definitely changing a lot with the timing, the timing of the serve. And related to that is also the toss. I'm kind of teaching him now to get a bit lower toss, so it can get a little bit better momentum on the serve. And as you might notice, most of the big servers and now the new generations, you will not see too often, like a high toss. So it's everything kind of lower, and that's for a couple of reasons. One, when the toss is lower, right? So if you toss the ball, this is the peak, and you are able to hit the ball close to the peak of the ball, like before it starts dropping, or it starts dropping and then you hit it right there. So sorry, I cannot really show everything also on the other broadcasting. I had to organize this a little bit better, so I apologize for that. But so I was saying this one has to stay here. Okay. If the ball starts dropping too much, right, the ball accelerates, so the chances of having a clean contact point are much lower. So that's one reason, for having a lower toss. You can have much more consistent contact and cleaner shots on the serve. And then the other one is that the whole timing, you get a little bit faster, and it might also happen that easier to disguise the serve, or it's harder to for opponent to read it if everything happens very like much faster. They are not really able to read the serve. You know, if you toss the ball, maybe some body position, the way you turn, but this happens so fast, it's much better chance, you know, to hide your like intention on the serve. So we are also working on that, the toss a bit lower, the timing of the swing and the position of the racket. I'm trying to get this kind of lag of this racket and the dominant arm in relation to the toss. So I kind of, instead of doing this, you know, I'm trying to make them do a little bit toss first, and then this one is lagging and then going up there. All these are really difficult things, you know, to change, especially on the serve. It's very complex motion, and but some of the tricks, I would say, like that I like to use is definitely the shadow swings. And I noticed that obviously when you're making a change in the motion, it really requires a lot of repetition, a lot of time, a lot of patience. So making sure, I think number one thing is making sure that your players understand that it's going to take a while, that you know, it's a long-term process. It's not going to happen in 2 days. It's not going to happen like even in a couple of weeks. It might take a few months. So as long as they understand that, then you can, you know, jump into the process. And or if you're the one, you're trying to, you know, work on your shots, then make sure that you understand it's not going to happen overnight. So it's a long process. And then you kind of need to accept that and kind of commit. Commit means that you're ready to put in the work and time every day, just doing the repetition, very simple things that you might even think it's not really helpful, but I think the number one thing with changing technique is repetition in a correct way. So here is, I would say, the most important thing when you're making the change. You know, if you just, let's say you understand what you're changing and then you just start serving, right? You want to keep serving like you're doing your normal serve. It's very highly likely that very soon you will tend to go to your old habit, and it's going to be a little bit waste of time, in my opinion. So I would always say, make sure that whatever you're doing, the motions there, that it's a correct motion, or the one that you want to like adopt, like the new habit, basically. So I think that doing shadow swings is extremely important part of this. So I always tell my players, let's first do some shadow swings only without hitting the balls. So, you know, so that the body kind of get used to the new motion. But then also when they start serving, I'm not going to let them just hit like 20, 30 serves trying to get that new element like included there. I'm going to tell them to do one shadow swing and to be super focused on that motion, right? On everything it's correct. And then they try to do the regular serve. We're going to, you know, try to incorporate that. And I found that was really working. So it's something to kind of, you know, as I said, in my opinion, this is like the most important thing. If you understand that, making sure to repeat as many times as you can in the correct way. And to do that is the right way. It's to break it down and go slower, you know, and even have many more shadow swings than you think you should. And another super important element. Oh, I have some like connection problems here on the phone for Instagram, so I apologize for that. I hope the others are fine. I think YouTube is still okay. Please let me know if you can still see the video. And this is the problem here, you know, when I wish I was in States or any other country. This is a nightmare having these lives and also uploading videos, because all these platforms are kind of blocked here. You have to have extra this VPN, virtual positioning network, so it's kind of hides your location, whatever, sends you to different location like figuratively. But okay, I see I get some comments, so it's good. Thanks so much for that. So I'm gonna keep going, at least here on YouTube. I hope Instagram will soon start again. I can just check again. So 1 second. I have one more important thing to say about this. Okay, Instagram was stopped because of the connection. That's not good. And this is when you're implementing the new element in your shot. So let's keep the same case. We are working on the serve, right? I'm working with my player on the new shadow swing, where I want to keep that racket a little bit low, like behind. I hope you understand, right? So like I don't want him or her like to go at the same time, right? I want to keep the lag and also create this a little bit shoulder over shoulder, right? Rotation, get this left arm first up where this one is still behind. So this kind of lag or pause, there are more ways you can do it extremely low, like for example Kyrgios or some other players, or you can do that somewhere at this level where you also slow down before you start there. So for me it's fine, but for example, let's say we're looking for somewhere in the middle, right? Not too extreme here, not too extreme low. But in order this to happen, what I tell the player is that try to do it in a more extreme way. Like try to make it more extreme than you want to go for. So if I want this to stop here, I tell him try to stop it, try to slow down even lower. Because what will happen is that you will always naturally tend to go to your old habit. And for example, like his old habit is to go here. So if he tries in his mind to do it low here, probably that would end up being here, So if you try doing something in a more extreme way, it's going to end up being definitely not on that level, right? So it's going to maybe get closer to the point where what you're looking for. I hope that makes sense. Please confirm. I like to have some more interaction, if so I know that I'm sending a good message across. Okay, now I see that Instagram is still again on. That's good. Any progress on your inside fade shot? Okay, that's a different question. So I guess this is John. Is that John or it's Chuck? Thanks so much for joining us and for watching. I haven't had too much opportunity to work on that. It really needs to be like I need to be 100% healthy, and then I can train for myself. Otherwise, I'm more focused on the players. But yeah, guys, let me know if this kind of made sense. Like this approach to changing technique. And so another important element of the process of change when you want to improve something, and it's also very, very important, it's crucial, that is to use the camera to record the process. And I would say you can pretty much record every day, at least for like 10-20 seconds. You can use your phone. You don't even have to have like some crazy cameras, just with a phone, or you have somebody record it. It's good maybe to use like 2 or 3 angles, different views. And once you do that, a couple of things are happening. The one is you're keeping the track of the progress, so you can see in which direction, if you're going in good direction with your change. And this is something I really adopted as a new habit. I'm recording as many things as I can. Any chance for that, any opportunity, I would try to record, and then always watch the video, rewatch and analyze, so you can see if the direction is good. Because sometimes also with the naked eye, like you can see overall if it's a good change, if everything is happening. But when you watch it on a bigger screen, not just on the phone, it's much more clear. And especially if you use a slow motion, you can really get into details. And so that's one thing. It's good to use camera so you can keep the progress and make sure that it's going in the right direction. But also you can compare then those videos, if you can nail the same angles as some of the videos that you find. For example, if you really like the forehand of Del Potro. It's very specific. I just like, he came to my mind. It's one of the biggest forehands, but also Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, Nadal, Rafa Nadal. Any forehand that you like, once you find the video, you and like the angle, whatever, you can record yourself from the same angle, and that's also so much easier to compare and to see where is that difference. It's so trivial, it's so simple, yet I I'm sometimes a little bit like surprised that so many of you guys, like, I mean, I really enjoy to be there and to help give advice, but I see a lot of times, and some of your questions you're asking like how to do this, but I know that many of you probably know the answers, or you could know if you just turn on YouTube and check a couple of videos and record yourself. You can see what you're doing wrong, right? You don't need to have 20 years of experience, but obviously for us who have been there and played, it's easier to break it down and make it a bit more simple, or let you know what are the basics, what is the core, the main elements, because you cannot really copy. Yeah, okay, I have to add this. You cannot really copy exactly everything from like whoever you really like Del Potro, like, because you are different. Your body is different. Your muscle structure, the bones, the length of the arms, everything plays a role. And this is something I'm figuring out also, because I was trying to adopt some elements of certain shots from the pros, and then I noticed it was not really working so well for me, even though no matter how much I try. Recap for some of you who just joined, we're talking about the most important like elements of the process of changing technique. It's a long-term thing, and then you work on shadow swings a lot. Very important to put in a lot of repetitions, which doesn't necessarily mean you have to hit balls so many times. Also, doing shadow swings can really contribute to like the muscle memory like being created. So the first thing, understanding it's a long-term process, doing a lot of shadow swings. And then I also talked about doing the things a bit more extreme way, So for some things, it's maybe a bit difficult to kind of understand what's more extreme. But I mentioned if you want, okay, I can give you another example. Like if your back and swing, right, it's kind of lower, it's just kind of with your racket tip is kind of a bit horizontal, and you want to make it a little bit higher. So then when you practice a shadow swing, I would say you make it even higher, or like more extreme racket tip direction than you want. And then once you work on that, your natural habit or whatever from before will pull that towards the old habit, so, and then you will get the result that's something that you want. So you want to do it in a more extreme way. So that's number 3. And then the 4th, I just talked about recording the whole process and keeping track of how everything is going. You can compare with other pros, with other videos. You can, go into details when you look at it as screen, use some slow motion effects, and check different views. And also it's important for these videos to be seen by the players, right? If you're a coach or if you're a parent, so if you make this video and then you can share that or take a couple of minutes after practice or before or whatever, then they can see themselves. I found this so important, for understanding what's actually happening. This is also my case. Sometimes you think you're doing a certain thing in a this new way and you feel a bit different, and then you see the video and it looks similar to the old way, and it's kind of not quite there yet. So once you see it, once you see yourself, and I know, I mean, also from my experience, especially in the beginning or before, it was not always so pleasant to watch yourself. You kind of expect to see more, and then you see yourself and then you're like, oh man, this is not what I think it is. It's not looking like I think it's looking, but the best is just to go for it, and the more you watch yourself, the more comfortable you will get, And I think you will improve quicker because you will accept the facts and you will know, understand better, like certain things. And the whole point of this now talk that I want, and it's about the timing, right? And I think it's now it's the time, because again, all the tournaments are canceled for I don't know how many months. If you have some shot, I mean, obviously I'm talking about here a little bit like a more competitive level of the players who are, for whom it's important to perform on their best level. If you're just a club player and you're playing this club like charity tournaments or whatever, it's not for fun. I think you can change your technique anytime. It doesn't matter. But for you guys who are playing, who want to play on a more competitive level, and trying to go for pros, if you're playing ITFs, now it's the time. I have a player, Christian. He will go for ITF tournaments as soon as it starts. So now we are working on a couple of things, changing, polishing technique, what usually we cannot do, between the tournaments. So that's the point. Now you dive in and you step into that process, and it's super fun, especially if you're both like on the same page, like a coach and a player, and you commit to the process, and then you can slowly see how it's changing and the results, and you're not rushed, because this is very rare. This doesn't happen, that you have a period of some couple of months or even more that you know they will not have a competition and nothing else can be done. I mean, you can just keep training. So I think, what else can be done if not improving and getting to higher level now when you don't play? So yeah, I just wanted to share this because I've been thinking about it, but I'm sure many coaches are aware of that. But anyways, it's always good to kind of uh, share thoughts, and hope somebody will get some value from that. So I really appreciate, and everyone who joined. I'm gonna check just to see if there are some questions on different platforms now. This Facebook, I never know really how it works. I just see it. It says it's live, but okay. What's up, Jeff? How's it going? Yeah, here is, yeah, it's getting much better. We're back on the court, and doing our trainings. Okay, so Facebook is working. See YouTube. It actually can be a huge help in making changes. Yeah, been recording myself to make sure that I pronate. That's great. Makes sense. But do you think that lag on serve could cause a lot of mishit? Wawrinka has very simple serve, but is very good and hits a lot of aces. That's a great point. Definitely, when you make this lag, you have to do this last part of the swing much faster, and there is a higher chance of mistiming it, mishitting. But practice makes perfect. I just kind of model that based on this new generations and this biggest servers. I think it's a very interesting way of approaching the serve. But again, there are many varieties. You can accomplish that lag in many different ways. John, it makes sense a lot. I've been working on my racket lag on serve, just like you said. I used to get anxious and speedy, losing momentum. It's all about the timing with the toss. High toss and more lag. Exactly. That's it. Great advice. Video is a key part of the process. Yeah. I feel like continuous motion on serve is highly crucial. Well, this is very relative. What does it mean continuous? Definitely you're not gonna totally stop, but it has to be like a different speed of the swing, right? You're not gonna see somebody serving like here, right? It's going to be and then first. So definitely there is some timing, there is some rhythm there on the serve. Houston, we have a problem. If you were in a car race, you wouldn't drive at 200 miles for a few seconds, slam on the brake, and then accelerate again. Okay, that's an interesting analogy. I need to read it again. So that means, okay, I understand. So you're saying in your opinion, it's like the serve, like the speed of the swing and the timing should be kind of similar. Yeah, we all have our opinions. It's a little bit different. You're having a problem. What type? What kind of problem? Is it with the live? Michael and also Tony. This is why the video is important. Yeah. How do you feel about polished strings for recreation players? I see wrist injuries and then it's elbow pain and they play with stiff rackets, polished strings. Honestly, I'm not the greatest experts in this, like strings related and all this. But if I would just think with common sense, like the strings themselves, like poly or whatever, guts, I don't think this can cause the like the injury or as you mentioned like elbow pain. I think it's more about technique and maybe not proper warm-ups and lack of like fitness or activity of certain muscles like joints, the shoulders. I might be wrong. So if somebody here really knows these things, you can drop your 2 cents. But it's honestly, I my opinion is that it's not really related, the strengths with injury. How do you get to be considered? How do you get to be considered pro, Tony? This is relative. It's always relative. Like when people ask or say like, "What's your level?" Unless you're like, for some people, unless you're top 100, you're not a good player. But those are usually people who don't really play, or who just played, or who love tennis and don't really know much about the game. For me, like being pro means that you reach a certain level where you can compete on a high level. You can play like the tournaments where you can get like professional ATP ranking or WTA ranking, and possibly you get some ranking. So once you're on a list, you might be considered a pro. But others might argue that being a pro should mean that you're living your you're earning your basic income and living from the tournaments, which will be so difficult. So if that's the case, the criteria, then I guess you would have to get in top 2 or 300 to be a pro. So I don't think that's uh, the right way to talk about that. But everybody has opinions. So being a pro can be also if you trained pretty much from your childhood and competed, and then you became a coach. you know as long as you have the knowledge. But I believe like a good coach should still be able to play on a high level. Video is freezing. Okay, I apologize for that. It's really not, but as long as we still have the connection, it's good. So I'm going to keep going for a little bit. Now if you have some questions, I would like to answer. If it's related to the topic and changing technique, maybe changing the mindset, the tactical game, and working on the things that usually takes more time than you have or than you can afford between the matches, between the tournaments. Why is Nadal's serve so hard to attack? Well, first of all, I never played him, so I cannot really say how hard is it to attack. But obviously, the question comes from some knowledge, or maybe like watching a lot of his matches, and that opponents are maybe struggling. I wouldn't say it's really hard to attack, because some players manage to do it, but definitely it's very, very efficient, very precise, super precise. Not the fastest serve out there, but having a lot of rotation there, and I'm sure he's using a lot of angles, and the advantage of being lefty. It's always great if you can use that. It can be very uncomfortable for the opponent. So maybe in the direction we're going, I would say it's mostly due to the fact that he's lefty and he knows how to use that slice serve and mix up this different spots in the boxes without kind of revealing where he's serving. So obviously very good with disguising it. So something along those lines. Um, do you think players will struggle coming back to tour after this long break? My concern would be with guys who aren't super into fitness are maybe a bit lazier. Sam, that's a good question. I see where you're coming from, and I can imagine exactly what you're saying. Some guys out there, I'm sure they're putting in regular work on these days, and definitely they will have some advantage when everything restarts because they will not start from zero. I'm not saying the others will start from zero. They will for sure do some work, at least a couple of weeks before. But again, I think every effort or hard work kind of pays off. So eventually, or at some stages, there will be advantage for the guys who are putting in the work. Even on these days, they're building a little bit more stamina or endurance, or even just that kind of how do you call this? It's just keep going, right? The momentum, like they're not allowing this thing to kind of stop the momentum, so they're still being active, maybe in different ways. It's not going to be like playing matches or doing all this like specific fitness, like on tennis court something, but they might be doing other things, and that could put them ahead. Maybe not in the first match, but along the way, maybe it's going to be like the fourth, fifth match of the tournament, like semis or finals, and then the guy who was a bit lazier, he's not gonna have this extra energy or something in that final set at 4 all and 30 all. There has to be a like a consequence for sure. So, but that's a very interesting question. And okay, then let's see, Namir. How are you? Sometimes we hit the ball from low to high, but the ball with a lot of spin. However, the ball goes very low speed. What do you think went wrong to make it fastball? This one I need to reread again. Sometimes we hit the ball from low to high, okay, going for spin, but the ball with a lot of spin. However, the ball goes very low speed. What do you think wrong? Okay, that means you overspin the ball, so there's much more spin than you want, and it's not going too much fast. So I mean, I think like the way you ask the question is like you already kind of knowing or assuming the answer. Your swing is going too much like in this vertical way, and that's definitely not the best way to create the speed, which is the penetration through the air. So obviously you need to get that swing a little bit more horizontal. It depends on the balls the balls that are coming to you. You cannot always make the horizontal swing, right? If the ball is dropping, if it went high and it's dropping, you have to get a little bit more from low to high. But definitely your swing has to become a bit more horizontal, and depends on the grip. If you have extreme grip like Western, semi-Western, I mean, semi is not too extreme. Western grip, you need to have a very specific technique and mechanics of your swings in order to produce those like high velocity and heavy shots. For example, the great example is Jack Sock. So I think you should kind of analyze and do a lot of research on his forehand, so you can see the mechanics. How even with extreme grip and a lot of topspin, he can create some insanely like fast shots. Rafa Nadal as well. So I think it's just watching the videos and you can understand this better. It's tough to explain just in words, but how do you continue to keep your players motivated every day without tournaments coming up soon? What is your biggest motivation during quarantine? Shannon, great question, and something that you know can really bring value here. And I apologize for the people here from on Instagram. I a little bit neglected their interaction here. But as I mentioned, the primary platform here is YouTube, so I'm focused there. I just put it on live there, so you can also hear. But coming back to the question, how to motivate players during this period? It's a great one, really interesting. I'm maybe also a bit lucky that some of my players are just like super driven and motivated themselves, just hungry to keep improving. So maybe you can go in that direction, as the whole topic of this video is about changing the technique, like, because it's a perfect period, there's no tournaments. So if you approach it that way, and it's almost like you cannot say it's a tournament for them. It's like a challenge. The challenge is to, let's say, make this forehand a bit different, change this. So the motivation will come from that. They're motivated to come there every day and work on that forehand more. So then in some time they will feel better, and they will kind of see the results. So I think we kind of came together to this uh, suggestion, and I appreciate the question. Sometimes you can also learn, or like brainstorm through the different ways of seeing things and asking different questions. So definitely try to motivate the players through giving them different challenges, for improving their techniques, or working on the tactics. You can work on that, and letting them get excited about their new way of approaching the match, or how you're gonna play next time. Are you gonna go there and be afraid, or are you gonna go and just say, let's have fun, let's go for it, let's just trust our guts and go for every shot, something like this. There's so many ways. I think it depends on the situation, and it's relative, and it's personal. If you know the player better, it's you can motivate them in different ways. But some of my players, they just they are motivated themselves. Maybe also I contribute a bit. I can feel that some things they also like to do the way I do, and I'm like so happy to see that. So yeah, I hope that answers the questions. I think we kind of did it together here. And I apologize, a little bit like behind the comments. It takes a bit time. Sam, I also think it's difficult because when you're training in the off season, you're training to peak at a certain date, but here they're not training to peak at a certain time. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough now to train hard if you don't even know when you're gonna start again. It's a very special time. Okay, the extra rest will be good for them to heal up and be refreshed. Oh yeah, if there is no motivation, for sure, when you kind of stand back, like, and take some time off, get away from everything, then it's just suddenly you think, wow, I'm so hungry again. Almost like with food. If you don't eat for a day, and then you can eat literally anything. So, and then you're like, almost you can kind of compare. Thanks for sharing your training with pros. Good videos. You're welcome. Glad you like it. Hi from California. Do you think Federer has one more grass season in him? Maybe good for him to take a long break. Maybe good, maybe not. We will have to see. This is, nobody can say. I'm sure not even him. I don't think even he is like aware of what can happen next year. I mean, it's going to be, wow. Next year, Roger is turning 40. So he's born 81, and next year is 2021. 40 years old. That will be like ultimate record for sure. I'm curious how much you are paid by month for being sparring partner. Yeah, I got this question a lot before, especially the first time I started posting the videos. It's, well, depends what do you mean by getting paid, but I assume you mean like, financially, or in terms of like cash. That really doesn't happen. And the thing is that I don't even think about it. It's really not on my mind. Like when I'm there and playing with these guys, it's like just the ultimate happiness and like gratefulness. satisfaction and like learning so much, excitement. Like this like getting paid is like the last thing on my mind. So, but for me, this is the biggest reward: the feeling, the experience, and the motivation you get after that. It's priceless. You feel like you can go back to your tournaments and beat everybody. It's like unbelievable. I always joke with my friends, they're like the other hitting partners. If there's a tournament right now after this, Masters, like I would win the tournament. It's like this. It's always you get so much drive and you like also get confidence. Obviously it's different. It's just training with them when you get to the match, different, but still you get so much motivation. Um Hello from France. Here is 6 a.m. Big respect. Okay, thanks a lot. Take care during the lockdown. Do you play in Roland Garros? Nope, a little bit far from playing at Roland Garros as a player, but I was in touch with the organizers for this year, and they were almost kind of considering, putting me in the team of hitting partners. That would be like another dream, coming true. Just being going to that tournament. I hope it's gonna reconnect again at the YouTube platform. Okay, please let me know if you can still hear me or if you're still here at YouTube. If not, I might have to stop it here. But on Instagram we still have it's going still going. Facebook is there. Okay. So I can answer this last couple of questions. I don't know if it's still streaming. That's the problem with this VPN. You never know. Now it says connected, but I don't see anybody is able to connect. Unable to connect the chat. That's not good. Okay. I keep my hand loose. Kirby Hunt. I keep my hand. So these are all live comments from the live stream on YouTube. Just so the others know on Instagram and on Facebook. I keep my hand loose when I hit ball to get that lag. But sometimes my hand grip switches and I don't have time to get to my normal hand position again by the time the ball comes back. Any tips? Okay, I got that. My hand grip switches and I have time to get my normal hand position again. That means you're like getting that grip too loose. So you have to hold the racket with certain like amount of force or energy, so that if you try to spin it in your hand, you cannot. So the grip is just enough so the racket is not spinning. Again, you need to kind of stay loose your wrist and the forearm, so everything needs to come from relaxation. You think the spin is very important in clay? For sure. I mean, look at all the Spanish players, the best players on clay. They definitely are the ones who are hitting the most top spin. You can create more angles, and you can push back the opponent. How to be you coping? God bless. It's just loving what you do and working hard. That's not many secrets. You just have to be super passionate and always do the best you can, and even more, pushing yourself every day to improve. This is how you keep going, and this is where you get the drive, because you always have the joy of improving and having this self-advancement. It's what really makes you happy. Hello from the epicenter for coronavirus, Queens, New York City. Wow. Michael, stay there, stay safe there. So it's a little bit confusing. I see their viewers at YouTube, but nobody's able to comment anymore. So it's kind of tricky. But anyways, I think it was a great session, more than over 50 minutes right now. I appreciate everyone for being here, for joining, and for asking all these amazing questions. Some of them also made me think a bit more and got some new ideas. As always, almost every time we do this live, so you get some new ideas, and we'll definitely come up with new different videos that can cover some of these topics. And yeah, that's pretty much it. maybe I should also do one more quick recap on today's topic, which was, approaching this period as a great opportunity to make changes in technique of your players or of yourself. If you want to work on that, or if you're a parent and you want to give advice to the coach or to your children, now is the time, because there's so many months ahead without tournaments, and you can dive deep into some technical elements, of course, as long as you know what you're doing, and you have some good mentor or guidance, or you also know what you need to do, whatever. Just making sure, number one, that the player or yourself understand it's a long-term process, right? It's going to take time, so you accept that, and you're fine with going through days and days, weeks and months of some repetition, and maybe even like not seeing immediate results. That in that way, there will be less frustration in the process once you understand that. Then we talked about number two. Number two was a little bit tough to remember the order, but for example, I can say it was about how to approach the process. Yeah, so having a lot of repetition, meaning you can do a lot of shadow swings. So I said shadow swings are super important, and you can do them separately or combined with the actual shots. So once you do them together, it's going to help the player to do the correct motion, which is so important. Number three was that I mentioned doing a bit more exaggerated or extreme motion. So something, let's say you're going for you're here. This is very simply explained. You're here, you want to get here, so you try to do practice on this level, whatever this means. The level of the swing, the grip, you just do it a little bit more extreme, and then your old habit, which is here, is going to pull that extreme to a little bit lower, and then you're going to get there where you want to go. And then I also talked about, so that's three. And I also mentioned recording using the camera, so you can have all the videos there. You can keep the track of the process and compare with the pros, compare with other videos, and watch the slow motions. The players can see it, so it's much more effective, and it really worked out very well with me and some of my players. So this is why I really like to share that with you. And yeah, that's it. And as always, having fun on the way, that helps a lot. So once you do that, I think you're in a very good spot, to make improvement and just become a better tennis player. You have to use this time and period for this. If you know that there are some parts that you can get better at, or your players, now is the time to do it. So I hope that was clear. I repeated a few times for the ones who joined a bit later, and that's pretty much it for this session. Again, I want to thank everyone for joining. For the ones who just joined, so all this is recorded live on YouTube. So this whole video will be there after I'm done with it. So you can also rewatch it if you missed some of the tips, and you can even ask questions after in the video, and I will be happy to answer. So thanks again. I hope you are safe first and staying healthy, mentally strong, with a lot of patience and discipline. This is something that's the crucial in this period. And just having the positive mindset, the good times are coming. And again, if we are all together in this, and we can make it, we can go through this, and good times are coming. All right, so I'm gonna wrap up this video. I will see you soon in the next one, in the next live.